Hello, my name is Scott Clark. I am the chef at Dad's Luncheonette in Half Moon Bay and one of the authors of Coastal. I really enjoy this recipe because it takes kind of the mystique out of packaged goods, which is a really fun thing to do. And especially things like Oreos. They're small, they're dainty, they're cute. I want like a bigger, more intense flavored cookie. We're gonna start with the dough for the cookies, which is a pretty straightforward cookie dough that's like packed with Dutch processed cocoa powder. That is going to be a really deep kind of savory flavor and make that really dark kind of black cookie that you're looking for with an Oreo. So we're going to start from the top and go from there. I am going to reference Coastal because I've been running around a lot and I don't really remember everything that's going on right now. So, oh, you know what? Before anything, preheat the oven. So 375 is going to go right here. So from the top, we're going to start with our flour, sugar, cocoa powder, baking soda, and baking powder and salt. So we have 185 grams of AP flour ready to ride. Going into the granulated sugar, which is 150 grams. Bada bing. And moving through to the cocoa powder. Scrape this. We're looking for 40 grams of cocoa powder. If you don't have a scale at home, I would suggest getting one. So 40 grams of cocoa powder. Cocoa powder is ready to ride. That's going into our bowl. We are going to go with baking soda, baking powder, and salt now. For baking soda, we are looking at 1 teaspoon, which exists here. Get that guy flat, bada bing. And then baking powder, we are looking at a 1/4 teaspoon, which we don't have, but it's fine. We are going to pretend like we have that. Again, it's not the end of the world. And then a 1/4 teaspoon of salt exists here. 1/4 teaspoon. Yay. Yes, that works. It's huge.
Out of the pro one.
This is a bad girl. This is a big industrial one, huh? Okay, cool. And then we have our 1 egg, 150 grams of beautifully cubed room temperature butter. So fire in all of your butter. And let's look 1 cube down. Letting that bag go back up. So you'll see your dough kind of like it goes from 2 very different powder and butter things, and then kind of starts to look kind of sandy and a little off, but the egg is going to bring it back together so that it is really consistent and beautiful throughout. And don't be afraid to kind of turn up the volume a little bit and really get it moving. They crack our egg. I generally, when baking, am trying to crack eggs into a bowl prior than instead of adding it straight to the mixer, because you are not going to have to fish out shells if you haven't done it quickly. So egg goes into our dough. and then we're just gonna let that come together and pray that we did it the right way, because I wrote the recipe, so it has to be right. So this dough has come together pretty nicely. We are going to drop our guy, and I'll show you. It went from kind of like a floury, buttery mess to a really nicely incorporated dough here. And there's a trick that I talk about in Coastal for prepping out your dough so that you get really consistent and manageable, kind of like a log to work with. So get your hands in there. Don't be scared of being a little hands-on with this one. And then we're gonna throw it into our plastic wrap and then make like a little torchon or like a log of the dough so that we can chill it and then slice it and then bake it off. And I kind of just work it a little bit to bring it into the shape that I want it. And then it goes onto our plastic wrap. And this is where you get kind of that, that really uniform, beautiful, like cylindrical kind of shape. So press down and then pull back towards you, making sure that it is pretty even all the way through. And then we are gonna cut our plastic wrap, hopefully with a kitchen knife. I have a pocket knife right now, so we're good. And bring it back to yourself. Move that out of the way. Roll it tight, and then with your fingers, you clamp the edges, and then work it together like this. And you'll see that dough inside get really, really uniform and even all the way throughout. So that comes out to be our little log of dough that we can go for. And then throw it in the fridge. So we're gonna let this chill into the fridge to get like really, really cold before we slice it up and then put it in the oven. While that is happening, the oven is getting hot, we are going to work on our cream filling. The filling is wildly simple. You may or may not want to know what's in an Oreo cookie filling, but at home it's literally just butter, sugar, and then whatever else you want to add to it. This one we're going to do black sesame. I love black sesame so much. It's nutty, it's deep, it's savory. It just adds like just an unctuousness to this filling that I think is really, really delicious. So that is going to be the addition to this particular filling. And I'm going to show you how to get that going right now. So we've cleaned out our bowl, we've cleaned our paddle attachment, and we're going to go into our cream filling now. We are going to beat the butter, the vanilla, the powdered sugar, salt, until it's nice, light, and fluffy. You don't want to overmix this because it will get a bit tacky, and if it heats up too much, it'll actually start to break or split. So we're just going to take it to the point where it's airy and fluffy and light and delicious, and then we're going to pull it out, slam it into our piping bag, and then be ready to assemble our cookies either here or at a picnic or on a sailboat, in your kitchen, wherever you want to do this. We have 226 grams of unsalted butter at room temperature. Try to get that bad girl out of there. Into the bowl. To that, we are going to add our 2 cups of powdered sugar. Boop. So 2 cups of powdered sugar. Give or take, there's 1. 2. It says 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt. This is a perfect 1/8 of a teaspoon. Easy. And our black sesame powder. Absolutely delicious. Have it on deck, use it all the time. And now I need to find my tools because I don't know where I am or what I'm doing. 2 teaspoons of black sesame powder. So we'll start with those 2 teaspoons. We'll get this all mixed up. I'm gonna give it a taste and see if we wanna go a little bit more, a little bit heavier. Sometimes the black sesame powder can, some of the brands can be a little different. So just being aware of that, they can be a little bit more intense or a little bit less intense, but that's why it's always good to just taste through these things as you go. Lick the spatula, lick your fingers, do whatever. No one's watching. And hopefully you're making this for people who wouldn't care anyway. So, paddle goes on, bowl goes up. We're gonna start slow to get everything incorporated, and then we're gonna amp it up and really, really let it rip. So I'm gonna turn this up now that it's worked a little bit, and we're gonna see where we're at.
Eventually.
Oh, we need to add our vanilla before I forget, actually. Which is 2.5 teaspoons. A key. If you do not have vanilla extract for some reason and you only have vanilla pods on hand, don't be scared. Cut one of those things in half. Get it in there too.
Do you buy black sesame seeds and make them into your own powder, or do you always buy the store-bought powder?
I generally buy the store-bought powder. I have made the black sesame powder before. The thing is, whenever you're doing it at home, they're so fatty. I don't know what the process is, to be honest with you, on like an industrial level, because there's, depending upon what you're using, for example, for like a food processor, if you don't have enough or if you have too much, it gets really hot. And then that fat starts to kind of extract and pull out. So you kind of have to hit like this perfect medium to get exactly what you want. So I'm gonna give this a taste and decide if I want to put more black sesame into it. Or add more salt. Damn, that's really good. That's really delicious. It's super good. That's great. I am gonna add a little bit more though. I am gonna add a little bit more black sesame to turn the volume up on that.
Nice.
Because we have free will and we can do whatever we want. And it's our cookies, no one else's. So I'm gonna just go ahead and throw in another tablespoon. The salt is really nice in there. It is texturally kind of exactly where I want to go. But we're going to add that extra tablespoon. Don't be scared. Get in here, dude. Yeah. Give me the attachment.
Can I mop those?
Yeah, for sure, dude. If you weren't hanging out in the kitchen with your mother and chasing around the paddle attachment as a kid, I don't know what you were doing. Because that was like most of my life. We had, I used to go to this public pool in my neighborhood. I'd ride my bike over there. And for years, this was, again, early 90s. So things were a little bit different back then. But they sold raw cookie dough to children at a public pool. And it was absolutely incredible. So really beautiful, consistent, silky, gorgeous black sesame filling. Sick. We're gonna get this into our piping bag. I'm gonna show you a little trick to get the air out of your piping bag. And then we're gonna move into baking our cookies and assembling these things. So you can assemble them ahead of time. You can do them right in front of your guests, your loved ones, your friends. The world is your oyster. So piping bag comes out. And with this recipe in particular, you don't need like a cute tip, for example. But you can. I mean, you can add a fancy little star tip to the thing if you want. It's going to end up getting smushed anyway, so I tend not to have the tip on hand. I'm going to show you a little trick. If you happen to have a deli container in your kitchen, I would get your guy into there, and then you can wrap your piping bag around the deli container so that it's not moving around. But if you don't have a deli container, like finding just a container to make it easier so this thing doesn't fall on you. Because the last thing you want to do is be wrangling around a half or 3/4 full piping bag and trying to fill it up with this really delicious filling. So we'll scrape every last little bit out of that we can, because we need it. That goes into our sink. And you can then use that edge of the deli container to get it in there like so. So we are going to clean up our space, and the piping bag comes out like that. And so you see like there's a good bit of space from where our filling is to where we want it to be. So I lay it flat on the fold, make sure it's all ready to roll. And then what you can do is use your kitchen counter, your cutting board, that surface. You hold it up and then just pull out with your hand, and that will move some of this filling down the bag, and then becomes the rodeo work. So grab it like this and then give it a twist.
Yeah.
Like so. And then that gets our filling all the way down. We're going to go back through one more time. Push it to a little bit. And then we're going to tie it off, bake off our cookies, and be halfway to Graceland before you know it. Bam. So now we've got a beautifully...
Like that.
Yeah, that's a real pro job. I've had to do that a couple times. And that's a tie-off scenario. One thing to be mindful of is when you're working with piping bags, if you add too much to the bag, then you will not be able to get the proper tie on top. And the tie is really important to keep tension on the filling so that it actually comes out. And then don't be afraid to grab it and pull it together. Bada bing. All right, we have rested our dough in the fridge. I almost dropped it. Nice and firm, beautiful all the way through. And now we are going to get ready to bake these bad girls off and get them filled. So as per the book, let me find that recipe again in Coastal. We're at 375, and I believe, because I wrote the recipe, I believe it's an 8-minute cook.
Yes, I was just looking at it.
Is it 8 minutes?
8 minutes.
It is 8 minutes, right? Okay.
It's just denting. The cookies are done. I'm on this. I'm on this.
Our host, everybody.
Chris is on it. Okay, so we have our Silpat line baking sheet, our beautifully cooled dough. We're going to unwrap it and then cut our cookies, get them in the oven, and get them filled for our picnic at Recipe Club. So because we've used the saran wrap, again, another kind of tip or something to think about while you're doing this, when you've made a torchon with saran wrap, you want to make sure that when you unwrap it, that it hasn't folded onto itself and then got stuck underneath the dough. Sometimes it can do that. So this one came out perfect. It's not stuck up underneath there. But sometimes there's like a little lip, and you just want to make sure that you don't leave any saran wrap inside of that lip when you cook your dough. So we're gonna slice these about 1/8 of an inch thick, and then line them up onto our baking tray and get them into the oven. First slice is always for the doctor, so you can eat that yourself. And then just go straight down from the top and get your slices as uniform as possible. This is wabi-sabi sometimes, and a little different. So they spread out a hair, not a ton, but it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. It's a good time to practice some knife skills. A good way of getting a really beautiful, consistent slice on something like this is having your dough sitting in front of you, and instead of like looking back and like cutting into it like this, I stand right on top of it, and then just go straight down to get that really consistent movement, which is going to get us exactly what we're looking for. So just go through, get some slices done. We're gonna fire these into the oven. Again, it's an 8-minute bake, so it's super quick. They will also cool really quickly, and then we'll get them filled up and run over to Recipe Club and get these things in front of some people's faces and into some humans' mouths. When you are setting out your dough on your baking tray, no matter what you're doing, you want to leave, depending upon what the dough is, but you want to leave, I'd say, a good 1/2 inch in between, just to be sure that if you do get a good amount of spread, that they're not slamming into each other. If they do happen to start touching and kind of like fuse as they're baking, while they're warm, you can take a knife or a spatula and just do a little pop action, and that will help release them as they cool. So you just make that indentation while they're warm straight out of the oven, and it can pretty much fix any problems that you have. So we have 3, 6, 9, 12 slices, which will give us 6 cookies. We're gonna fire these into the oven, put our 8-minute timer on, see where we're at then, and then maybe continue to bake the rest of this off if we have time. Maybe not, we're gonna find out as we go. All this stuff. Timer.
Right. I have you, chef.
You have a timer? That is. This oven has a Wi-Fi timer, which is hilarious. I generally always will cut my time in half to give my bake a check, to see if I do need to change anything while it's in the oven. This is a new kitchen for me. I've been cooking in new kitchens for the last month. So it's a good way for me to have a little bit of peace of mind, and also to just make sure that there's not any issues if your home oven has like some hot spots or things like that as well. Or if you're baking on like a nicely battered sheet tray, for example, they can be kind of warped and a little fucked up here and there. So it's good to just get on top of that and give it a look. Oh, these are looking absolutely stunning.
The halfway mark.
At our 4.5 minute mark. So I just gave them a quick turn again, because I don't know this oven so well. So we got 4 minutes left on this timer. We're gonna pull these out. We're gonna fire in our next 12. While these are cooling, while the other ones are cooking, we're gonna pipe some, and then we're gonna head over to Recipe Club and get these in front of us. This is like, yeah, you should put it here, right?
Here.
Book. book, by the book, by the book. All right, so it's been 8 minutes on our timer. We are going to see where we're at and pray to the cooking gods that it's all going to be okay.
Oh, I smell. It's good. I smell like
All right, those things
beautiful.
turned out beautifully. So I'm just giving them a little pat, check the doneness. Again, we like freestyled the cut on these, so sometimes they're going to be a little bit harder or a little bit thicker, but they turned out beautifully. So I'm going to let these chill. We're going to get our next batch in. If you are in a rush, which you should never be because time is a construct, and you need to cool your cookies a little bit quicker than you might have anticipated. You can always pull off of your baking sheet, and that is going to take that conductive heat away, put it onto a cool surface. I have the luxury of doing this in a restaurant kitchen, so I can put it on a cold piece of stainless steel refrigerator, and these things cool pretty quickly. But again, if you are trying to get this done with a perceived kind of time at which you should do it, pull it on off, let it rest, and that will make the whole process a little bit quicker. I mean, by a hair. So that is like a good little tip when it comes to baked goods at home, letting these things hang out and cool down so that we can pipe them. They need to be absolutely room temperature. If not, the buttery black sesame, powdered sugar, salty vanilla extract-y goodness is going to slip and slide, which is what we're not looking for. These cookies, too, in particular, are a little bit softer than an Oreo that you would get out of a package. And I did that deliberately because when you are making these ingredients at home, you don't have the benefit of these like wild fillers and additives to make sure that that cream kind of like centered filling like holds in a really unnatural way. So it's just a softer all around filled cookie so that you can bite it and not have it fire off into a million different directions. So we just pulled out our last batch of Oreo bases. Our filling is done. Again, in Coastal, the filling is black sesame. I am particularly enamored with black sesame. It's a beautiful, beautiful flavor, but you can do anything you want. Just be aware that you don't want to add too much moisture to this filling, but play around with it, make it salty, make it sweet, make it savory, anything. It's really, the world is your oyster when it comes to making these cookies. So we're going to pack these things up. We're going to head over to Recipe Club. We're going to get them piped out over there, put them on a plate, and we're going to see if people enjoy them. So again, this recipe comes from Coastal. They're the onboard Oreos. This cookbook is out now and everywhere that books are sold. I am Scott Clark.
I will be honest with you. You said you wanted to make these onboard Oreos for today's picnic episode, and I was skeptical. They thought it's just going to be a whoopie pie. This clown is going to make a whoopie pie and pretend it's an Oreo.
I'm a clown now.
My 3 positive notes on your Oreos, all 3 of them were, I was wrong, so wrong. How could I be so wrong? These are not whoopie pies. I just want to put it out there. They are the furthest thing from whoopie pie. They are crispity, crunchy, incredibly delicious.
Thank you.
I want to drag you real low. I wanted to make it
horrid inside.
I called you a clown.
Yeah, there was a lot of words.
I accused you of being a whoopie pie maker.
Yeah.
And then I brought you back up.
Do you beat everyone down on their first time like this and then invite them back?
Not just, if you ask Mandy, not just the first
It's
time.
not just the first time.
Oh, it's just a
It's all
constant
of the
lashing.
time.
Understood.
That's why you have to come guarded.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.